Why luxury travelers value silence more than service. For most of modern history, luxury was defined by what could be added. More service, more activity, more stimulation. But at the highest levels of wealth today, luxury is increasingly defined by what can be removed. Noise, interruption, obligation. These are the currencies of the modern world, a relentless transaction of our attention and energy. We are immersed in a digital and auditory cacophony from the moment we wake. It's the hum of the city that never sleeps, the vibration of a phone that never rests, the unending stream of information demanding our immediate engagement. This constant state of connection has, paradoxically, left us feeling profoundly disconnected from ourselves. The very air we breathe seems thick with expectation, a low-frequency hum of social and professional demands that follows us from the boardroom to the bedroom. We have architected a world where stillness is an anomaly, and quiet is a forgotten language. The space for deep thought, for uninterrupted reflection, has been compressed into fleeting moments between one notification and the next. This isn't just background noise. It is an active erosion of our cognitive and emotional reserves, a tax on our very being. This is why silence has become one of the most valuable and most engineered elements of modern luxury travel. It has transcended mere quiet to become a profound statement of status and well-being. True luxury is no longer about what can be added, but what can be taken away. It is the intentional removal of the non-essential, the curation of an environment where the mind can finally exhale. This engineered silence is a deliberate and sophisticated craft. It is found in the acoustic integrity of a private villa, the sound-dampening materials chosen for their ability to absorb the outside world, and the service philosophy that anticipates needs without intrusion. It is the ultimate amenity, the permission to simply be, without the need to do, to respond, or to perform. In this context, silence is not an absence. It is a presence. It is the presence of clarity, of peace, and of the self. High net worth and ultra-high net worth individuals in particular live in environments saturated with stimulation. For them, the stakes are higher, the decisions weightier, and the noise amplified. Their lives are a complex architecture of responsibility, where every moment is scheduled, every communication is critical, and every decision has significant consequence. The cognitive load is immense. They are not just managing businesses, they are navigating global markets, philanthropic endeavors, and complex family dynamics, often under the glare of public scrutiny. Their minds are the epicenters of constant, high-stakes problem-solving. Urban noise, constant notifications, meetings layered on top of decisions, layered on top of responsibility. This is the daily reality. The digital tether ensures that work is never more than a glance away, transforming pockets of potential rest into moments of continued engagement. The brain learns to operate in a state of hypervigilance, scanning for the next email, the next market shift, the next urgent request. This creates a feedback loop of stimulation where the baseline for normal is a state of high alert. The very tools designed to enhance productivity become conduits for perpetual interruption, fragmenting focus and depleting mental stamina. Over time, this creates a state of continuous sensory overload. The nervous system remains alert long after it needs to rest. This is more than just fatigue. It's a physiological state known as allostatic load, the cumulative wear and tear on the body from chronic stress. The adrenal system is perpetually activated, cortisol levels remain elevated, and the capacity for creative, strategic thought diminishes. The mind, deprived of true downtime, loses its ability to consolidate memory, to generate novel ideas, and to regulate emotion effectively. The search for silence, then, is not an indulgence. It is a biological necessity, a quest to reclaim the cognitive space required not just to lead, but to live. Travel for these individuals is no longer about excitement. It is about recalibration. This is where silence enters the definition of luxury, not as absence, but as design. True quiet is not a void, it is a presence, a carefully sculpted sensory experience where sound is not merely eliminated, but intentionally composed. This is the foundational principle of a new paradigm in high-end architecture and hospitality, acoustic luxury. It represents a profound shift from viewing silence as a happy accident to treating it as a primary, non-negotiable feature of the built environment. It is the art of crafting tranquility, transforming a space from a simple container into a sanctuary for the mind. In these properties, every surface is a silent collaborator. Walls are no longer passive barriers, but active instruments of sound absorption. We see the integration of specialized materials, high-density mineral wool, porous wood composites, and custom-designed acoustic fabrics that trap and dissipate sound energy. Spaces are meticulously engineered to manage reverberation, the persistence of sound after it has been stopped. The goal is to achieve a specific reverberation time, creating an atmosphere that feels both clear and intimate, preventing the sterile deadness of an anechoic chamber and the chaotic echo of an untreated hall. This is where the science of acoustics becomes an art form. The engineering goes deeper, into the very structure of the building. Architects and acousticians work with metrics like the Sound Transmission Class, or STC rating. In simple terms, this number tells us how well a wall, floor, or ceiling blocks airborne sound. A standard interior wall might have an STC of 35, allowing loud speech to be audible. In a luxury residence, the target is often an STC of 60 or higher, rendering even a shouting voice completely inaudible from the next room. This is achieved through complex assemblies, decoupled wall studs, multiple layers of mass-loaded vinyl and gypsum board, and air gaps that act as acoustic buffers. It is an invisible architecture of peace. Beyond the walls, the building's own lifeblood, its mechanical systems, are tamed. HVAC units are oversized to run at lower, quieter speeds. Ductwork is lined with acoustic insulation and designed with gentle, sweeping curves to prevent the turbulence that creates noise. Even the plumbing is isolated, with pipes wrapped and suspended on resilient mounts to stop vibrations from traveling through the structure. Every hum, whir, and click is engineered to operate below the threshold of human perception. The result is a space that simply breathes. This commitment to quiet is so absolute that in some cases, silence itself is measured, certified, and guaranteed as a deliverable amenity, just like a waterfront view or a private pool. Quiet becomes a built feature, not a coincidence. This stands in stark contrast to the conventional luxury experience. Even traditional five-star hotels, with their polished marble floors and grand atriums, can feel overwhelming to ultra-wealthy travelers. These spaces, designed to impress visually, often become echo chambers. Crowded lobbies generate a constant, stressful hum of conversation and movement. The ever-present background noise of service carts, distant elevators, and neighboring rooms creates a sense of being perpetually surrounded, even when the service is impeccable. For a guest seeking genuine retreat, this subtle but persistent sonic intrusion undermines the very promise of escape. As a result, many elite travelers now choose environments that feel intentionally low density and low input. The goal is not isolation, it is relief. Closely connected to silence is sensory control. Luxury today is not about being entertained. It is about choosing when and whether to be stimulated at all. Some travelers seek environments with limited connectivity. Others prefer customizable soundscapes, natural ambient noise, or complete quiet. Slow travel and so-called quietcations reduce novelty and transitions. Predictable, low-input environments lower cognitive load and allow emotional states to stabilize. The fewer signals the brain must process, the easier it becomes to rest. Reduced social interaction plays an equally important role. Many high-net-worth travelers actively avoid hotels in favor of private villas, islands, or off-market residences. Not because they want less service, but because they want fewer interactions. Staff are trained in invisible hospitality. Presence without intrusion, support without performance. Encounters are minimized. Assistance is intuitive. Silence extends beyond sound into social space. Privacy, in this context, becomes inseparable from quiet. For ultra-wealthy individuals, being unreachable has become one of the clearest signals of status. no records, no exposure, no obligation to respond. Controlled isolation is not abandonment, it is autonomy. The ability to disappear briefly and without consequences has become one of the most valuable privileges wealth can provide. From a psychological perspective, silence plays a direct role in emotional regulation. Low stimulation environments calm the amygdala, reduce stress markers, and slow internal rumination. The nervous system shifts from vigilance to recovery. This allows clarity to return. Mood stabilizes. Awareness deepens. Silence becomes therapeutic not because it adds something new, but because it removes what no longer serves. This explains why modern luxury has become increasingly subtractive. Rather than impressing through abundance, it protects attention. Rather than signaling through spectacle, it offers control. Rather than amplifying experience, it refines it. For wealthy travelers, silence is scarce, and scarcity defines value. Ultimately, this shift reflects a deeper change in how luxury is understood. It's a quiet revolution, a turning away from the tangible and the transactional, toward the intangible and the transformative. We have journeyed through the science of sound and the architecture of silence, from acoustically engineered private villas to the hushed cabins of electric vehicles. We've explored how the world's most forward-thinking hoteliers and designers are no longer selling opulence, but its very opposite: an absence of noise, an absence of distraction, an absence of obligation. This is not merely a trend. It is a fundamental re-evaluation of what it means to be wealthy in a world that is saturated with information and starved of attention. The ultimate commodity is no longer something you can own, but a state you can inhabit. True refinement is no longer loud. It has shed the need for performative displays and ostentatious pronouncements. Instead, it whispers in the language of considered materials, of light sculpted by architecture, and of service that anticipates needs without ever intruding. True exclusivity is no longer visible. It has moved beyond the velvet rope and the branded insignia, retreating into spaces that are defined by their privacy and discretion. It is the unlisted number, the unmarked entrance, the freedom from being observed. And true luxury no longer overwhelms. It has abandoned the frantic itinerary and the sensory overload of more is more. It recognizes that in an age of excess, the greatest privilege is restraint. It creates space. Not just physical space, measured in acres or square feet, but temporal space. The permission to exist outside the relentless cadence of the 24-hour news cycle and the digital clock. It creates cognitive space, a sanctuary for the mind to unspool, to wander without a destination, and to reconnect with its own deeper rhythms. And it creates emotional space, allowing for the quiet processing of thoughts and feelings that are so often drowned out by the external world. This is the new charter of affluence, the acquisition of serene, uninterrupted, and profoundly personal territory. This is why, for today's most discerning travelers, silence matters more than service. Because when the world finally quiets, something rare becomes possible: rest, focus, and a sense of internal order that money alone cannot buy. The pursuit of quiet is the final frontier in the pursuit of well-being. It is an acknowledgement that our nervous systems, battered by the constant hum of modernity, require not just comfort, but recovery. It is the understanding that creativity, clarity, and connection are not born from stimulus, but from the stillness that follows. As we look to the future, the demand for these silent sanctuaries will only grow, becoming the defining metric of true escape. For in the end, the most profound luxury we can ever hope to attain is not a destination on a map, but a quiet place within ourselves.